I'm LeeAnn Wisdom, and I'm running for School Board Director, Region 6 for Downingtown Area School District.
School boards are the foundation of our community. They are the community's voice in public education. In many ways, they are our first entry into civics. However, when election time comes around, there is often very little coverage about the candidates and the office itself. Therefore, Indivisible and Chester County Marching Forward have come together to have a conversation to introduce you to some of the candidates running for school board this year. Today, we are speaking with LeeAnn Wisdom. Welcome, LeeAnn.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, given the public discourse in recent months, what about being a school board director is exciting or inspiring to you?
Originally, my inspiration for running was the opportunity to create, to impact youth and their families in a positive way and create an atmosphere for learning that encourages every student to love learning, to become a lifelong learner, and to thrive not just academically, but socially and emotionally. School is where most of us learn how to get along with others, respect and appreciate people who are different from ourselves. And I think that a solid, inclusive environment is the way to move our society forward with respect for one another and empathy for one another. When I first started on the board about 4 years ago, I encountered the sentiment that public school is the cornerstone of democracy. And it really got me thinking. I had never heard that before. And when I thought about it, I realized how true it really is. Democracy is all about equality and equity. And public school is a place where, in practice, every student has the opportunity to receive an education that will put them on an even footing with every other youth receiving a public education in this country. And I know not all districts receive equal funding or have equal resources, so I know it's not playing out all over the country, but I wanted to continue to be a part of continuing to make quality education a priority in my district. I wanted to put forth my effort to make sure that every student who walks into one of our buildings feels accepted by their school community, is confident in themselves. I want to help teachers and administrators get the professional development that they need to help our students on their way to achieving their goals. And so that's exciting to me, knowing that I'm providing that, I'm helping to provide that for all of our students, a base for the rest of their lives. And I want to continue in a second term to maintain all the great things that I came into as a new director 4 years ago, and help maintain and bring about over the past 4 years.
That's awesome. So I appreciate that. I will say I am a teacher, and my classroom is right next to a history teacher. And so she does all these great innovative activities with the students. And she talks about the American Revolution and how our democracy became alive. And as an adult, I forgot what it was like. And I'm not sure that I understood what it was really like as a child, right? But as an adult, I understand democracy and democracy at work. And it is really very exciting. And I do believe what you said about, school boards being the cornerstone of our democracy. It's great. And, lifelong learning. My mother was a teacher. All of my aunts are teachers. And so everything in my house, even now when I talk to my children, I can find a life lesson in everything. So, that being that place that children love to learn and want to continue to learn is something I think that we should all strive for. So I love that is one of your goals or reasons for being on the school board. And so I definitely appreciate that. So you have been on the school board. Tell me, what are your biggest strengths and how have they benefited your constituents, meaning the students, the teachers, and all of the families of Downingtown?
Well, I think the obvious strength is what I mentioned before, that I've been there for 4 years. So my experience on the board, I think, helps me to understand the challenges that we're facing, and I am willing to continue to work toward solutions to those challenges. I'm a team player. I look to each of my fellow board members for insight and ideas. I always consider all sides of the issue. I have an open mind, but I also have ideas of my own. I always listen to my constituents and the staff and to discover what the true needs and wants of the community are. I have lived in this community most of my life. I grew up in the Downingtown School District, and I have a love for this community that I think really drives me to do what is right for it.
And so you grew up here when Downingtown was only one school, or? I hear that often. I only, we moved here about 10 years ago, but I do hear that all of the time.
Yeah, I graduated from DHS. It was just DHS back then.
That's awesome. So like you mentioned, you are on the school board. Can you tell me what you want to accomplish in your next 4 years?
There's a lot of things that we're working on right now. I think the most pressing things may be a little bit boring, but I think that we need to address the population growth in our district. We have schools that are nearing capacity or at capacity. We have larger classroom sizes. We would like to include all-day K, but we can't do that at this point because of our growth. So that's what we're working on now, continuing to mitigate the effects of the pandemic, including learning loss, making sure we're assessing the students appropriately, meeting them where they are, getting them what they need so that they can be in a place where they should be at this point in their learning. Working on a plan for busing, how to get everybody where they need to go efficiently, effectively, while we're dealing with a shortage of drivers. So those are things that, I hope to accomplish in the next 4 years. Some of those are, hopefully not going to take 4 years to do, and some of them will. It takes about 4 years to build a school, or add on to schools can take years. So those are some of the things that I'm.
Yeah. So when we moved from New Jersey, Jersey's full of really small districts, and we saw population growth there. And when we moved here, we would go bike riding around, and I'd say, oh my goodness, there's an open field there, and there's so much land over there. I'm an avid bike rider, and my husband and I would go, just wait about 10 years and all of that land is going to be gone. And, when you have good schools and you have a plan for that and people like what you're doing, then people want to come here. So it is, it's good to have that, but you do need to do it in a systematic way. It's not, it's the nitty gritty, and you've got your pulse on that. And so I do think experience matters. And, it does seem right in line with what I, as a taxpayer in Downingtown, see and want to change. My children went to Euclid Hills, and when we moved here, it still had the pod. Oh, did you? I had no idea. That's so funny. And so now they have this big, beautiful school. And even though my children are in high school, I want to go back and see that school, because it's so amazing when you see things grow and you see your community prospering. And, it's nice to see. So, I mentioned the public discourse that's going on. Can you tell me, what do you see are the biggest challenges moving forward right now?
the most challenging things for me is to help people understand how DEI really functions in the school system and within their schools for their kids. I think people were worrying about things that weren't happening. They were not having a good understanding of DEI. I was so excited to hire our DEI director, and it was just such a wonderful thing for me to be able to do, and because I knew all the great things how wonderful that would be for our district. And I was actually really surprised. I was blindsided by the backlash and the public discourse that was going on over that. And so I do try very, very hard. I am actually, one of my committees is the Cultural Equity Task Force. As a board director, we have a few committees that we serve on each year. We switch them around every year. And that is mine this year. And I try to express to people how important DEI is and what it really is, and how it really is such a wonderful thing for our district, and how it will help every single student to achieve their absolute best self and just come out of their school years being a whole, well-rounded person.
It reminds me of something that my mother used to say before I had children, and I never understood it. And she would say to me that as a mom, you're only as happy as your unhappiest child, right? And so as a community, we are only as prosperous as our least prosperous, right? And so if you look at it from that lens, it's just like build everybody up, right? So I appreciate your answer. So thank you. And it's a hard one. I know that's a hard question. But I do think your experience matters. The fact that you said you listen to everyone, and that you're a team player, and you approach all answers or all solutions from questioning all sides of an issue. I think that would matter as well. So you seem very poised and knowledgeable about what Downingtown needs and how to move us forward to get there. So again, thank you very much for that. Now for a little bit of fun. Tell me something that we wouldn't be able to find out about you if we Googled you or found you on Facebook.
You might not know it from, just looking at my Facebook page or seeing me at a board meeting, but I'm actually really fun. I like to run my school board page pretty professionally, and I'm all business director wisdom when most people see me. But I have a love of life and a love of people. I'm actually pretty goofy. I enjoy meeting people. I'm like that person that will talk to you in the grocery line, or strike up a conversation with you at the playground or anywhere really. I think that one of the most important things that we do in this life is to make connections with others. When we make connections with other people, it makes our life more meaningful and more fulfilling. We realize how we are all connected and how we all affect each other and how we can all help each other and build each other up. And it's what makes my life feel full and truly meaningful, is this connections that I make, the smallest connection to the biggest connections in my life. And I think that's what we really all want. And I think that it's that love of life, that fun of life. And I want that for everybody. So I guess maybe you couldn't find that out by just, going on the computer.
Sure, right? Because that is just one dimensional, right? And so you do need to get out and be able to touch people. So you're probably one of the reasons why it takes my husband 5 hours at the grocery store, because he also is one of those people and just loves to talk to everyone. So
because I realized when I first started canvassing, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to knock on somebody's door. I don't even know them. I'm going to try to sell myself, tell them that I'm a great choice. And I realized that knocking on people's doors and canvassing, it's like my favorite thing to do when it comes to being a candidate, because I end up getting to not enough doors, because I just have these great conversations with people. I meet all these great dogs and pet the dogs, but it's just, I can't help myself. I just want to keep keep finding out about people and keep making those connections.
Well, that's
So,
great. That's your superpower, making those connections and finding out about people. So, again, I appreciate you coming on and having this conversation with us, and good luck in your campaign.
thank you so much for having me and for doing this. I really appreciate it.